And welcome everyone to an off-season Big Ten men's basketball chat. I'm Andy Katz, pleased to be joined by USC new head coach Eric Musselman. Eric, you have had success wherever you have gone. This was obviously a golden opportunity to go to USC, to go to the West Coast, where really you sort of got a lot of your start in coaching, both professionally, collegiately. What made this such a great fit for you as now USC enters the Big Ten?
Yeah, no, we're super excited. Obviously, the brand of USC, the academic component at USC, and then coming to the Big Ten, I felt really fortunate to have the job at Arkansas. It's a great basketball job. SEC is a great conference, but the Big Ten is an unbelievable conference. And so the timing of everything, both personally coming back to Los Angeles, being back in California, the opportunity to coach at USC, and then the opportunity to be in the Big Ten. When I grew up, my dad was coaching at the University of Minnesota. So I've been to a lot of those Big Ten venues. It was many, many years ago, but I've always looked up to the Big Ten and always thought that it would be a great challenge to coach in one of the greatest conferences in America.
Yeah, obviously the barn is a historic building, the raised floor. So you know all about that. I'm curious right off the bat, though, what are one or a couple venues that maybe you haven't coached in, maybe you've been to, but haven't coached in, that you're looking forward to in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I mean, I think, having grown up in Ohio, Ohio State's a place. I went to high school in Brecksville, Ohio, and obviously had a lot of high school teammates that went on to Ohio State. So I think just my mom and dad are both from that state. That's going to hold a little bit of special meaning. And then, you look at all the great coaches. I mean, Coach Izzo and Iowa, what Fran's done, and Illinois has got a great program right now. So there's just so many places. I remember a road trip that I always wanted to go on with my dad was Michigan, because Campy Russell was playing there, and Campy was, one of my favorite players growing up. I remember Purdue with Walter Jordan and just so many great coaches in this conference. And I do understand and have great respect, although I haven't been through it, how hard it is to win on the road. And one of the things when I got the job was whenever I saw a Big Ten coach at a recruiting event or whatever, I kind of asked them randomly, separately, hey, where's a really hard place to win? And man, Rutgers has stuff rocking right now. It's really interesting to hear the coaches in the league. Hey, who's really good late game? And you start picking people's brains and try to come up with some tendencies that happen around the Big Ten.
Well, Chris Collins and Welsh Ryan now suddenly is a really hard place to go and win at Northwestern with what's gone on the last couple of years. The Galen Center, what do you hope happens there for when Big Ten teams come? And it's going to be hard when they got to go to Pauley and the Galen Center, but what are you hoping for there?
Yeah, I mean, I think number one, we got to develop an identity of who we are as a basketball program. And it all starts on campus, and then it filters out to Los Angeles and then other parts of Southern California. You got to play well on the road when people are watching you at home in the LA market, that they see you play and they want to come be a part of it and watch it. But we're going to have to get the student body involved as much as we possibly can. This is a big challenge in a market like LA. I've coached the Lakers G League team, and I used to sell tickets for the Clippers right out of college. So this is actually my third stint in LA. I understand the media power of LA as my wife, Danielle, worked for two different networks in this market. But our women's team has done an incredible job of filling up the building and creating excitement and energy in the Galen Center. Juju Watkins, a star player, helps create that environment. So, we have them to look up to. We have them as a great example of what can happen if you win, and if you play the right way.
You did an unbelievable job social media wise at Arkansas. What are the chances that will continue at USC?
Well, we're trying, Andy. I mean, it's the one thing about social media is I grew up in a household that was a coach, like that. Nobody could grow up in more of a coach's household. So some of the marketing, some of the social media, it's actually outside the area that I was raised in and brought up in, but it's where we are today. And it's a way to generate interest in your program. So certainly we want to try to think outside the box. Certainly we know that we need to do things on social media because we're going to have to appeal to the younger fan as well, not just to alumni and boosters, but we've got to create younger fans as well. And I think certainly social media is a way that you can do that.
There's so many great rivalries in the Big Ten. Now we're bringing in UCLA, USC. What do you hope that rivalry becomes with you as head coach going against Mick Cronin's crew at Poly?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, just growing up in San Diego, I mean, I'm well aware of the rivalry between USC and UCLA, and it's not just obviously in basketball; it's in every sport on campus. So, Coach Cronin does an incredible job. He's a disciplinarian. His teams execute. They play super, super hard. They're physical. And I hope that our teams, have a lot of those same characteristics as well. But certainly it's a rivalry that you look forward to. UCLA in men's basketball, I mean, has carried weight for 50 years or whatever it may be. So it'll be exciting to coach in Poly Pavilion. It'll be exciting to coach in the Galen Center against the Bruins as well.
All right, last two things for you. Scheduling in the Big Ten, it seems like every week you've got two quad one games. I mean, every game seems to be almost a quad one. So how do you balance what you know is coming versus what you're going to do in non-conference?
Yeah, great question, Andy. And then I think it's not just the Big Ten schedule, but I think for UCLA, USC, Washington, Oregon, we got to really understand that the four of us, our travel by going across country is going to affect wins and losses. And if anybody that doesn't understand that is wrong, having coached in the NBA, I can tell you there's a lot of games, not a lot, but between 7 and 12 in a 82 game season that are just lost based on travel. And obviously the NBA plays 3 to 4 games a week as opposed to 2 games. But those 4 schools that I mentioned on the web, we are going to lose some games based on travel. It's just a fact of any sports teams that travel cross country and go 3 time zones. So the non-conference scheduling is going to be important. It's also going to be important, Andy, in league, how you determine your travel, what time you want to land on that first game of a 2-game potential road trip. So there's a lot of stuff, and we're doing everything we can. I just got done meeting with the LA Rams about how they travel from LA if they go play, say, the Philadelphia Eagles. What does that travel day look like? What is the off day if they have one? And it's interesting because their thought process is if you travel 3 time zones, it takes you 3 days to adapt. So they don't even leave that early before a west to east trip. So a lot of things scheduling wise are going to be really important in how you move forward.
The last thing is, I think it's fair to say we have no idea, how good this team could be in this first season. You had to sort of build this thing. So the expectations, I mean, obviously they're going to be high internally, but externally, we don't know. It's July. What, as we're speaking here, what do you think this team could look like in year one at USC?
Yeah, so the first thing, Andy, we've had a lot of injuries, more injuries than I've ever dealt with. So we really haven't had a total core nucleus of what we look like. Kevin Patton has been out and will be out for quite some time. Wesley Yates has still not practiced at all. Matt Nolan is out until probably October. Desmond Claude had surgery on both elbows. So we've had a significant amount of injuries. Clark Slackert has now been out for a couple of weeks with a severe ankle injury. So who we are, I don't really know. I do know that it's a team that's really smart. It's a team that picks up things very quickly. It's a team that's got incredible chemistry, although I know everybody has good chemistry this time of year. But it is a team that enjoys being around each other. It's a team that practices really hard. We need a star to emerge. That's really where we are right now. We have a lot of guys that are really good basketball players. We need somebody to continue the rest of the summer, continue to invest in their game individually. And then we're going to need not just one star to emerge, but obviously, whether it's the NBA or college, you really need 3 guys to carry a bulk of the load as far as having some star power, ability to draw free throws, late shot clock shot creators, guys that can score in the last 2 minutes of the basketball game. Who those guys are, we're not really sure. We have a pretty good feel. Guys like Desmond Claude and St. Thomas can be guys that can do that for us. And Agboo's a guy that can stretch the floor and post up. So we have a little bit of a feel, but it'll be a work in progress throughout, not just the rest of the summer. And then as we get into September and October, but certainly in non-conference play, roles are going to be established as well.
Well, Eric, it is so great to have the Musselman name back in the Big Ten. Look forward to a lot of these conversations. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate you as always.